Mustn't grumble. Mustn't grumble. Mustn't grumble. I took time off work because I had an eye sore. Why is your eye so sore? Mustn't grumble. Welcome to Dangerfield's Sunday prescription. As you can tell, I'm having a few problems with my voice. Mustn't grumble. Can't. Oh, that's grumbling, isn't it? Oh, what's up with you, Grumpy? What's up with you, yo grump? You grumpus. Mustn't grumble. Great night of the football. Shouted myself silly. Absolutely silly. Arsenal won 2-0 against Bayern Munich. Arguably one of the best teams in the world. And it was superb. And I had a really good night, but I shouted. Lord, did I shout. Singing those football songs. Funny old thing it is. Funny thing. Weird sort of communal emotions. You know, for a split second, nearly 70,000 people are all feeling something very similar and expressing it and not being able to control their... Well, maybe they are controlling it to an extent. It's hard to say. Maybe if they weren't controlling it, it would turn into a huge orgy. Mainly men, really, and a lot of action for the women that go up there. That turned from a great result with the football to a huge sport-themed rape scenario, and I'd like to apologise for that, but I can't bring myself to apologise. You know what? Speaking of which, I'm into this writer at the moment, French writer, Michael Houellebecq. It's Houellebecq. It's not spelt like Welbeck, though, not like Danny Welbeck, the Arsenal player. No. Michael Houellebecq. He's got in a lot of trouble with different people. There was a funny interview with him I watched the other day. He's French, and the interviews, obviously, you have to watch them subtitled, and it can be a bit of a pest, but there's a few English ones. And I can't remember what it was, and the narrator went, Michael Houellebecq is the enfant... fuck it, I fucked it. Alright, he says, Michael Houellebecq is the bad boy of French literature, of modern French literature, or as they say in England, the enfant terrible, which I thought was wicked. I like those sorts of things, little postmodern reversals. But Michael Houellebecq, I can't remember now what I was going to say at all. Oh, yeah. I got into him and he's been causing trouble. You know, the limited sort of trouble that writers can cause. It's not that much, is it? No one's sort of like putting sandbags by their doors or painting their front door white and putting it 45 degrees against the wall to get in, like we were told to in the 70s if there was a nuclear attack. Anyone remember watching Threads? There's a woman in a Sheffield supermarket. She's wet herself because they've dropped the bomb. Horrifying times. The Cold War. It fucking was chilly too. Michael Houellebecq, enfant terrible, as they say in England, causing minimal, but in that world, significant trouble, because he's upset the Muslims, he's upset the women, and he's upset a lot of people. Quite what I like about him, I'm always up for that, people being upset. As you know, if you know my podcast, I don't believe in this someone offending you take offence. No one makes you offended, you choose to. It's a way of communicating something. It's almost an acting out, isn't it? Oh God, I'm so offended. Well, okay, but if we stay there, all we know is you're offended, which is very little. I can tell that. Why? Let's talk about it, and you'll realise you're not offended. You're angry, or you feel you haven't had, you feel you need to make a point. So fuck off with all that. But a lot of people have taken offence at him. And I watched an interview with him, and the interviewer said, you know, a lot of people have accused you of being a misogynist. And I get that a lot. There was one dozy ass comedian, this woman. I can't actually remember her name. I would say it. Doesn't bother me, but I can't remember. Funny looking thing she is. But I was meant to be on a panel show with her in Edinburgh. I don't know if I've already said this on the podcast, but I was meant to be on this panel show with her, and I turned up, and she rang up the producer and said, "No, I'm not doing it. Not if Chris Dangerfield's doing it. He's a misogynist." nice. But I found myself defending that, all that sort of what a joke is, what the role of humour is, what my views on women are, and and feeling I should defend it, thinking I was taking responsibility. But when this interviewer said to Houellebecq, "You accused of being a misogynist," he goes, Houellebecq goes, I don't care about them. I don't think about them. He just doesn't care. Doesn't need to justify it. Absolutely does not need to justify it. And nor do I. I hate it. I don't know why I've done it in the past. That's not taking responsibility. That's playing the game. What is it? What's the phrase? It's almost like you're giving them a bit of power by saying that their argument is relevant and that it's responsible for me to defend it. And no, I'm not doing it anymore. You think my work's this or that? Well, fuck it, don't care. Got other things to think about. So that's Michael Houellebecq, and that is the football. I should give you an update on my hands. Have you seen my hands? 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 Well, my hands, what a story it's been. It's gone from crunchy glass, yoghurt, lemony, claret, naked, dressed restaurant woman downstairs, taxi, no pay, homophobe, money in the pocket, wouldn't do it, into triage, up to the x-ray, poke a blunt needle in, can you feel the glass? Can you feel the glass? Put in the lidocaine, doc is fucking hurting, it's all in your head, ain't all in your head, it ain't. And then, of course, I had the bandages changed. Lovely nurse she was. Went on a bit, though. Rabbit. Okay, yeah. Can you pay a little bit more attention to my hands? Can you see my hands? Can you see my hands, nurse? Nurse, I don't want to know that story. Can you see my hands? And then yesterday, I've gone in and had the stitches taken out. It was a queeze bomb. Anyone had a queeze bomb? I prepared because I've had queeze bombs before. It's weird, really. With you know what I get up to with my bananas and that. However, if I have to give blood, a queeze bomb is landing on my head. And in these days, with drones and what have you, queeze bombs are everywhere. I go in there, just the smell of the hospital. Whoop! It's a little queeze bomb. A little bit more like what is it? An IEQ, an improvised exploding queeze bomb, more like one of them sort of roadside, triage side, little one. Oh, and you feel it in your belly, hits your mind shrapnel. What's going? Why do I feel weak? Why do I feel half the person I was before I came into the hospital? And of course, with the needles and all that in the actual stitching, that was the Hiroshima. Can you see our country? Boom. Can you see humanity? Enola Gay. Nuclear bomb on civilian targets. Boom. Can you see our civility? Can you see our world? Back to my hands. Back to my hands. So, yeah, a lot of queeze bombs. Anyway, having the bandages changed, nothing quite liked it because they were going a bit grey. Not a look, is it? Not a look. Cannot wear anything else to pull that off. I'll tell a lie. If I'd have covered the rest of my body in grey bandages, and then it would have been, ooh, mummy costume. Not a mother costume, that's something quite different. But a mummy costume, as in the Egyptian mummies. But that would have been a lot of work. So they were going grey, so she changed them. She rattled on about some old nonsense. And then stitches out. Nice bloke. He rattled on as well. He loved telling me about how he learned to be a doctor. And again, it was like, okay, in any other circumstance, I'd love to hear your story. Oh, isn't that funny? You student nurses, you really did drink 2 litres of cider between the 60 of you and someone fell off their chair. However, you're pulling stitches out of my hand. Can you see my hand? Can you see my hand? So, it's all going well with the left hand. Less stitches, different sort of cut, not as deep. That was just a bit, oh yeah. But, as soon as you started on the right hand, oh man, boom. Just weak. I haven't got a lot of colour anyway. All the colour I've got comes from the beetroot and carrot juice I drink every morning from the juice shop next door. Well, Andy, I'll tell you what, get one of them next door to you every morning. Oh, Ed, sure, you were my friend. He talked to me, saw me on telly, didn't he? That's ever since he saw me on telly, it's just give it to him for half price. It's brilliant. So that's where I get my colour from. And of course, when the quiz bomb landed, and I said to him, listen, I'm not feeling well. You might want to get one of those weird hat things you've got for puking in. And he did. He got one. And I said to him, put one each side of my head because I don't know which way I'm going to go. He didn't. He just looked at me like I was a bit odd. And then as he was pulling, and he kept saying, don't they teach these things? I love the NHS, I swear. I went in there with a smashed up hands. They sorted me out in quick time and absolute agony. But, how nice is that? Didn't have to fill anything in, out, treated, follow-up sessions, no problem. Little bit of waiting, but so there's loads of people. But he started saying things like, oh, hang on, this one's a bit snagged. Because that's what you want to hear when that snag is free meal under your bit rotten skin. He's yanking at it and I could feel it. And, it's not the pain. It's not, that was the lidocaine. That was pain. This is just a sensation. And it just does me. It's just sort of zoned out. Like, oh. Can you see my life? Can you see my life? And then I sort of come back and it was over and I just was, same as up at the hospital. Well, after it's done, I have such an overwhelming feel of relief that I just go sort of mental. And I'm like, thanks, Doc. Honestly, that was something else. I mean, you are something. No, you're excellent. It happened the same at the hospital. When I finished that, I went, where's the form for me to fill in? I want to fill in a form to say the doctors and nurses were great. They were. But that, I'm telling you now, that was just the relief I felt. It was just, I needed to, Dr. Gundar was amazing. Honestly, just amazing. And the student nurses, even just relief spunking out of me in any direction. Where can I, and that happened there. And I've sort of walked out. I'll see you later to the woman behind reception who's just sort of looked up and went, we don't have that sort of relationship. And that was the end of my hand. So they're sort of there's like a little bit exposed. I'm not convinced the one on the right has healed properly, but I think that's a conventional sort of fear. And I'm going to go with that because today I can have my fears, I can have my pleasures, and I can have my concerns and my hopes, my dreams, my regrets, my successes. Today I am allowed to have those things. They are mine. They are peculiar to me. You know what? Most of my life was spent feeling like I did not have permission to be me. Now, I'd like to pretend that I gleaned that through introspection, but that's just what many therapists have said to me. And it's quite a powerful thing, isn't it? Sort of, with what issues with me upbringing and that, and we all have them. There's this weird thing that you have to be locked in a cage and buggered by your entire family. But, the traditional sort of Oedipal setup is and the traditional family setup, quite isolated, really. It's prone to damage. I think it's an unfair and a ridiculous system. You should be brought up by a community. Amazing having all those different influences rather than just these two. I mean, Jesus, out of all the people in the world, you just got to have two people filling you with their bullshit. Come on, spread it out a bit. Ridiculous. But I learned that I didn't have to think that I was bad or think that I was somehow wrong. This has been a big thing with me all my life. You're in the wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing something wrong, something's wrong. Don't do it like that. And that's different from you doing it wrong, isn't it? Don't do it like that. That's not even you're wrong, that's what you're doing. I don't want all those things. I can feel them now, they eat me up. And they have eaten me up, and not, unsurprisingly, I end up doing things that are very wrong. The majority of my adult life, I've done things that most people will consider to be very, very wrong. And a strange kind of sort of psychology, strange kind of response, so strange sort of acting out of that lack of being able to communicate that permission to myself. And that's what I've having to be done. And when I found out that stuff, and when I actually felt it, there's hearing it, there's knowing it, but when you start living it and feeling it, it's kind of different. And when I get it right, and I don't always get it right, but when I get it right and I have given myself that permission, the world is a completely different place to me. It's, it's just this sort of wonderful, place, and there's sacrifices there and there's a lot of pain there, but there has to be, because there's a lot of pleasure and there's a lot of gain. There's problems, there's solutions. That's kind of what life is, isn't it? Problem solving. And it seems beautiful and abundant, and I'm like, thank fuck I was given a chance to do a life, and I've been gifted with like pretty good health, and I haven't had any sort of major accidents. Have you seen my hands? So, and I just have this crazy gratitude for life, and I just want to sort of produce more and consume more and just get involved and engage and be challenged and all that. When I fail to give myself permission, and all this goes back to childhood where, I wasn't given necessarily the permission to be me, quite different actually. I was contained, I was controlled, and I was told to do other things, and what I'd done was wrong. And sometimes, most of the time really, well, I don't know actually about that, maybe that's just my pessimism, but this kind of fucks me, because when I haven't got permission to be me, my behaviour is necessarily bad. I translate it as bad and wrong. Everything. Doesn't matter what I do, because it's not about what I'm doing, it's just about not feeling I'm allowed to do it. It's fucking weird, isn't it? Funny old thing, life. Today I had tea with Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies. Can you see my Teletubby? Can you see my Teletubby? Hang on, I need to just pick something up here. 1 second. Yeah. Hang on. I had a massive drag on my vape after getting into all that permission luck. I had tea with Tinky Winky from the Teletubbies, the lovely man who is Dave Thompson, the comedian, writer too, and also studied at the same art college as me, but about 20 years before. I couldn't believe it when he told me how old he was. I tell you, the man's looking good, the life he's had, and he's still looking fucking great. I tell you what, if I look anything like that when I'm his age, I'll get a job impersonating him. But what great fun Dave Thompson is. We only had a time for a couple of teas because someone else come along and said, can we join you? That's always a weird question, isn't it? It should be, we won't join you, but it's like, go on, we are going to be as entertaining or more than your current company. That's what that says. We're going to join you. And that's quite a brave thing to do, isn't it? Right, we're going to be entertaining. Because if you're not saying that, they're actually saying, we're not going to be able to make this better and contribute to it, so we're just going to leech from it. We're just going to take from it. And that's usually the case. Not because they're not interested, not because they're not entertaining, but because you were there because you wanted to meet that other person. I wanted to get to know Dave. However, did have a lovely chat with the lady who was there. Really nice, actually, and she followed up on Facebook and said some nice, challenging and interesting stuff. We were talking about me and children, and me having children, and, I don't know if I'm ever going to do that, but I worry that then I won't have had children, and it's all right not wanting to do it, but when you get to 60, you might be like, I really fucked up there. It's not like not doing a degree. My mates who didn't do a degree in their 20s just done them when they got to 40. Oh, fuck it, I should have done it then, but I'll do it now. Interesting stuff anyway, but kind of nice, because it's always been, no, fuck that, I don't want them, fuck that, I don't want them. And maybe that those questions are coming up now. Maybe that's not, well, look at that, I jumped in and went, no, but maybe that's just, well, I'm thinking about it, which has got to be healthier than just saying no. If you make a permanent decision on anything, you're an idiot. That's like having favourites, isn't it? What's your favourite movie? Well, that's ridiculous, because one day and one thing's going to be better than, that's stupid. What's your favourite colour? Jesus. If you've got a favourite colour, you need to think about your life, because there's loads more and they're all good in different situations. I'm getting a little bit angry about your favourite colour there. Can you see my favourite colour? Can you see my favourite colour? But anyway, Dave Thompson, nice bloke, went to Dartington Art College, the place I told you I went with my mate Paul. I'm trying to get Paul on the podcast. I've talked about him so much. He's my best mate. Pair of us have been going through some right challenges this week because of my hands. You can see my hands. Because of my hands, I've had a very different life. I've done a lot of writing on my novel. That's been interesting. Because of my hands, I've had to slow down the typing. I'm not like a touch typer, far from it, but I can type quite fast. But with the hands, I had to slow it right down, and interestingly, it's made me think about the words a bit more. I mean, I'm not a shit writer, I don't not think about the words, but that's almost like a writing exercise, I think. If anyone said to me, have you got any tips, I'd say, yeah, slow down. This is what I'd say. If you want any tips writing a novel, you need to get a lemon, yeah, like a glass tea strainer, smash your hands on them, and then when your hands are bandaged up, your writing will improve. Believe me, I've seen it. But it was an interesting thing. The typing slowed down, and so maybe what it was I was having to think about the words in a different way. And I'm very happy with the stuff I've done. It's a cool novel, actually. Hopefully it'll be out in about a year. It's really, really nice. I won't tell you anything about it. It's fucking pointless. But no, it's nice. True story. Sort of true. Not true. It's not true. Nothing's true. But I don't want to, I'm loath to say based on a true story. That's ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you later. Maybe when I work. There you go. I don't really know, actually. Some of it's true. Some of it isn't. That's kind of the same with everything. Maybe I just don't make distinctions like that. It's a bit like that with my stand-up. People go, is that all true? And I usually just sort of go, no. Or I go, yeah. And it's because they're kind of both the right answer. Because some of it is, and some of it is, but it was other people. Like some of my stories I'll tell as if it's me, and it ain't. It's a mate or something someone's told me. That I don't give a fuck about that. It works well. And I'll put it in as me. So yeah, that is true, but the falsehood there was it wasn't me. It's interesting all that, isn't it? Fucking hell. I don't know what autobiographical can be. Memory's like that anyway, isn't it? I mean, memory, we'll think about the memory, we think about the past, but it's a real present, isn't it? The memory's it's a phenomena of the present. You're right there, trying to recall something. It's a bit of both, obviously. Is it? I don't know what it is. Fucking can affect you, can't they? I'll tell you what, writing this novel, something new that I've never done before. Again, this might have come from the hands, actually. Can you see I shot a mouse. I put 3 lumps of lead in a mouse. They haven't come back, none of them. I reckon it sent out some kind of mouse karma and said, seriously, he's turned to weapons. Fucking thing stopped moving. And I'm telling you, that's humane compared with what I had planned. Anyway. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh man, how am I going to go back from that? Actually have no memories. I remembered it was memories. Mum, Dad's got memories that he said not to share with us. I'll tell you what I've done. I'm writing about a place in Thailand. And I got it up on, I got 2 monitors. It's quite nice. Get 2 monitors. Just spend 40 quid, get another monitor. Your whole computing experience, forgive me for ever saying such a sentence, but your whole computing experience, it just is, I can't do it one now, it's awful. But so on one, I've got the Word document, and on the other one, the bigger one, the one I watch the films on, porn, is I've got Google Earth. And I've gone to the places in the novel. Amazing. So I'm writing about being in this guest house, and I just go on Google Earth. And then it comes up, and I can walk up there, and suddenly I'm remembering all these things that I didn't get in the, because I wrote the novel out there. I wrote it every day while I was there, almost like diary form, knowing it was going to be, typed up as a novel. And I'm sort of there, and I'm at the guest house, and I'm seeing all those, if you've been to any of the beach areas in Thailand, one of the things that is so prominent, you actually forget it, is the sky. It's full of communications and telephone wires, isn't it? They're like, in some places, they're like spider webs, hundreds of them, and it fills the sky and all the roads. It's incredible. And I could see all that, and I hadn't mentioned that, you know. Maybe I'm just a shit writer, but it was amazing to see that. And this road that I'd written down was like a dirt track. Now, it's fucking tarmacked. It's a bit dusty round the edges, but it's tarmacked, and I missed that. No great change in the novel, really, but, you know, made me kind of question a lot of the other memories. If you can forget that much, how much extra can you put in? It's a weird thing, but it helped so much. I managed to go to the guest house, I went into the bars, I'd done a whole walk around Patong, done the whole of the one-way system, turning, looking at shops, and that I'd been to. Fucking amazing. Really, really helped. It was good stuff, man. But going back to that fella Paul, I'll try and get him on the podcast. He's got some amazing stories, and I have to say, unfortunately for him, hang on, let me have some water, man. I'm dying here. I'll do that, and then just after I've wet my vocal cords to allow me to speak clearly, even though I've ruined my voice, I'll now have a massive toke on my vape. Woohoo! So Paul, a lot of them are about not necessarily failed, but certainly bizarre encounters with women. So I'll probably get this wrong, and there's something will be wrong about it. I'm only saying that because he listens to it. He'll go, and by the way, you got that wrong. It actually was like this. He hasn't got the bottle to come on here himself, but he'll have a go at me for getting it wrong. Nah, he won't really. Well, he sort of will. Nah, he'll be non-committal when yet do both and neither. Interesting bloke. I'll try and get him on. But he was in this town, Totnes in Devon, and he met this girl in the street. And he sort of said, he's got this weird kind of Victoriana thing on the go. He fancies himself as sort of like a cross between Monty Python and Doctor Who, and I don't know, references that just make me shudder. But he does this sort of, I was just struck by your beauty. May I say what a wonderful dress you are wearing. All this old cack. And of course, that old cack's going to pull a certain time. That's just how it is. That's how you select the ones that you select. We all get the same types. And she's gone, yeah, all right. And he said, should we go back to my house? He lived in Exeter at the time. So they've jumped on the train. That's about a 40-minute journey. So they didn't say hardly anything. Just sort of him probably going, perchance the window of the train I see upon a lake once where stood a church in my childhood. I can imagine you in barefoot tiptoeing across the graves, playing Un Paganini's violae. All this shit. Anyway, they've got to his house, laid on his bed. Now, I'm going to point this so far, you would be forgiven for thinking he was about 14 at the time. I think he was about 35. He's laying on his bed with this girl. She was only like early 20s. That's what he said. I'd take 5 years off anything he says. And he was sort of like, and this is a funny thing, because once he's just going in for the sort of, the money, it totally changes to just the coarse, unsexualized male. And he's like, shall we maybe and she went, you can put your hand on my tit. Can you touch my tit? Touch my titty. So he said he did, and he said it was like feeling when he described it to me and showed me with his hand, it's the gesture you'd make if you're feeling if the side of your teapot was warm. Do you know what I mean? Just sort of placing it on there. Imagine them both laying on the bed, rigid, frigid, and on boob, nothing else happening. And then after a bit of time, she went to him, have you got anything about drowning? What a day. Have you got anything about drowning? And he was like, hey, what do you mean? I like things about drowning. And you know what he had? He didn't let her, well, he did let her down, but he gave it his best shot. He sort of scratched his head. He went, yeah. Funnily enough, I don't have anything about drowning, but he did have the CD of the soundtrack to Titanic, which had the sleeve notes, which mentioned, amongst other things, the fact that when it crashed, X amount of people drowned. I think she hung around for a couple of minutes after that, made her excuses, and left.
Hello. You're the only person listening to the podcast now. In fact, this is not a recorded voice. I'm talking to you direct now. Continue to concentrate at that frequency, and I will continue to divulge. La fenêtre. Look to your left. Can you see the figure of death? It appears as regular as the bell that rings at noon in the tiny village of Versace. Think of a circle, think of 4. Think of 5 mice running up Nanny's door. Allow for the hammer. Allow for the axe. We don't accept pets here. How much do you want for your daughter? Sing to me, O merry one. Sing me one of your songs. I like the way you've done that, Jean. I'll talk to Martin, see if we can get ours done like that. Oh, I can't believe you spent so much money on a vehicle. Praise to the north, eagles to the west. Turn your anchor. 4 horses to, then 1 horse. There's a fly in the sky, Mum. It reminds me of Grandad. Neither of them are dead. Ha ha ha. Let's run. You can use the sand to soften your souls. And water. Clean yourself, dirty Eric. You're covered in muck. I'll see you lot later. Much later.